Hey guys, today we're going to talk about shiny object syndrome and how that sabotages your growth as a reseller. I'm 𝗪cie_𝗶𝗶, and if you're into reselling, whether it be on Amazon, eBay, Poshmark, Mercari, today we're going to talk about how shiny object syndrome sabotages your growth. So what I mean by shiny object syndrome is you're doing a business model that makes money and does well, but you're always in search of the next thing, whether it's retail arbitrage and you are always changing categories and never actually sticking to a category and getting good at something. That can be shiny object syndrome. Maybe you're that reseller on eBay who's really good at finding deals, and they go to estate sales and garage sales and the bins, and they find this new electronic and this clothing item and this jacket and these shoes, and you're listing all these different types of things, and you're having all these different boxes and poly mailers and different shipping options and different listing styles and different pictures. It can get really exhausting. If you're a reseller and you're like, ooh, I should try day trading. Like, ooh, I should try flipping NFTs. Like, ooh, I should be doing like XYZ, and then never getting good at something. If you can replenish the items, you can become an expert at those items and at that category. This isn't to say that there's not opportunity in flipping NFTs or flipping domain names or flipping in day trading. It's just to say that if you don't invest the time in order to actually get good at something, you're never going to get good at something, and therefore you're probably going to fail at it. This is something I've been trying to be more conscious of lately. What happened is I was looking at my sales like usual, and I saw that I sold an item for $135. I saw that that item is actually an item that has a supply shortage on it, and I should not be selling it for $135. So I was able to know, because I'm only trying to restock maybe around 50 items, I knew that that item should not be priced at $135. It should be priced at more like $170 to $190, and it'll still sell fast. So because of that, I was able to go in and reprice the rest of my stock and set the minimum to be higher, and just because of that I probably made another $200. And that's the power of being in one category and being very familiar with your products. There's no way I could have done that if I had a printer here, a power drill here, all these different items that are impossible to keep track of. You know, like if I had 500 one-off items, there would be no way to know like, okay, this item needs to be priced higher. Like, you're kind of gonna be the jack of all trades, and you're not gonna get the most money for your items. But if you're in a specific category and you stick to something and you become more of an expert in a category, you can start to charge like the premium for your items, and you can have higher margins on things. And it's a lot less complicated, honestly. It's much easier just trying to keep 50 items in stock and going deep on those items once you know that category, rather than repricing 500 one-off items. Like, think about the repricing on 500 one-off items. It's so much easier to just do the repricing for 50 items and have like 6 of these and 24 of these, and etc., etc. It's so much more simple to just be in one category, be very good at it, know how to get the item. It just really cuts down on the research time and on the repricing time. Being in one category also really cuts down on your listing and your shipping time. If you're on Amazon and you're not using a prep center, and you're also trying to sell lots of different items in different categories and one-offs, you're gonna have to learn how to ship each single item in a different way, and you're not gonna be the most efficient at it. It's gonna be really distracting. It's gonna be really time consuming. It's not gonna be the most efficient, and it'll probably be really draining. you can do it and there's money to be made there, but you also have to think about your efficiency. Also, if you're an eBay seller and you're trying to list and you're trying to ship each individual different type of item, that can get really draining as well, especially when you're thinking about how to package, thinking about what poly mailers to use, thinking about if you need to put it in a box. I understand that there's lots of different items that have different profit margins, but it does get really stressful and difficult if you don't have the right poly mailer, don't have the right size box. It's pretty difficult sometimes. So that's why I'm advocating for, if you can get good at a category, being good at one category can be really helpful and save a lot of that effort and that decision-making process, and therefore make your life and your business a lot easier to deal with and more, sustainable. It's more sustainable to be able to make the same types of choices in the same categories over and over, instead of trying to be stressed about how to ship out this VCR or ship out this clothing piece or ship out these shoes. Do I put it in a box? Do I put it in a poly mailer? Does it work flat rate envelope? If you're in one category, you kind of know and have made the choices for all those different categories. Another thing about shiny object syndrome is that basically people don't know that they need to water the grass that they're in. They have something that could be a six-figure income potentially, but they haven't gotten the skills and actually put the time in order to actually master it. They think that their business model isn't going to work because they haven't watered the grass there yet. They haven't gotten good enough at it yet. And so they just go to a different business model. And so that can be a problem because they just keep switching business models and they think nothing works. But the reality is that they haven't put in the time in any of the business models in order to actually be good at it. So sometimes you got to balance switching business models, because sometimes the business model you're in actually legitimately isn't good and it should be improved. And sometimes it's literally you haven't watered the grass enough yet. So you always got to be dealing with that balance. It's a difficult balance, but you got to be walking the balance between actually watering the grass that you're already in and being in a solid business model. So if this was helpful at all or interesting at all, I talk a lot about reselling here and some of my journey here. And if you're into that type of thing, go ahead and subscribe and come hang out. Have a Merry Christmas. Take care.